So I'm going to click record. So I'll give a quick overview into how I got really good at teaching voice lessons online. So it all kind of happened by accident a couple of years before COVID because I moved to the United Kingdom to do voice lessons online, and I was teaching a very what am I saying? I didn't move to the United Kingdom to teach voice lessons online. I moved to the United Kingdom to do my master's, and then I had a very busy studio in Vancouver, and I wanted to keep my studio going while I was doing my master's, and so I was teaching 100% of my private studio online. And so I worked out a lot of the tips and tricks. And so suddenly when COVID hit, I got overwhelmed. When I tell you that I got 400 emails on March the 13th, I'm not joking. I got 400 emails from people just because people knew that I taught lessons online, with people going, I'm going to lose my business. I don't know what to do. And I just could not respond to all of the emails. So I had a very short break, and I put together a YouTube video called How to Teach Voice Lessons Online. And this is what it looked like. This is the screenshot. That was literally one of my students, because we weren't shut down in Vancouver yet. So I was trying to take a picture as a screen grab, and one of my students walked in the front door and saw me trying to take a selfie, and this is what I had. So I threw it together, and so that video I will post, and it goes over essentially everything that I'm going to go over in today's presentation in a little bit more detail. I also have another video about configuring your Zoom audio settings for music lessons, and that's for voice teachers, music teachers, and speech pathologists, and I will post that as well in the Google Classroom. But I'm going to go over some of the basics today. So the first step you have to consider is picking a platform. This is the order that I suggest them, and I use all of these with different students at different times. So the first choice is always Zoom. I suggest Zoom, and the reason why is because Zoom has a lot of interactive parts to Zoom. For example, the share screen feature that we're using right now. I use this share screen feature to show videos to students, to share recordings, to share sheet music. It's a very valuable tool. Also, the students you can click the allow record button under participants. That's allowed students to create they get a video spit out of their whole lesson and an audio. So it's just a really valuable platform. You can record on Skype. A lot of people say, well, I use Skype, and I think Skype's great. The challenge is that Skype doesn't have as good video and audio settings, and we'll talk about that when we talk about configuring the audio and video settings. FaceTime is a really excellent backup choice. So if someone's Zoom doesn't work, or if one of your students has an iPhone and is trying to do their lessons on the phone, you're better off to go with FaceTime because it's a little bit better than the Zoom app on a phone. And my backup is Google Hangouts. If Zoom is not working, or FaceTime or Skype for a student, then I go with Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts is really not ideal. It's pretty grainy, but it is there if you absolutely must do your lesson online. And then obviously the fifth option, which happens once in a while if everything goes down for a student, is we do their lesson on the phone, which can be a little bit of fun, and it really gets you working your ears as a teacher, that's for sure. So I'm going to go over some audio best practices. These are some things that you really want to consider to make sure that your audio is ideal for your lesson. Because even if the video is suffering, if a student can't hear you well or you can't hear your student well, it makes things difficult. So the first thing you want to consider is wearing headphones. That is your first line of defense for audio issues. The way that microphones work and speakers work in computers is sound is actually coming, if it's coming in and out at the same time, that's when you're going to get that distortion and you're not going to be able to hear something because the microphone is picking up and the speakers are trying to emit sound at the same time, and the sound just cuts out. If you are wearing headphones, then the student for sure is going to hear everything that you're saying because there's not going to be cutting out. If you and the student are wearing headphones, which is the most ideal situation, you're going to have very few audio issues. So that's like if you just do that, you are leaps ahead of everybody else. The next thing that you want to consider is configuring your audio. You can do this in pretty much all of the apps, so you can do this in Skype, but Zoom has really great features, and I have a whole YouTube video about this. But you want to go into your Zoom audio settings, and you want to go down to Advanced, click Turn on Original Sound, and then you want to disable the background noise filters because those are going to cut out all of the general background noise. And you just want to make sure the original sound is on so the student gets a live feed of what's coming through your microphone, rather than something that's been edited in Zoom's built-in software. The other thing you're going to want to consider is using an external microphone. I use the Blue Yeti USB microphone, but there are lots of choices. I like the Blue Yeti because it's relatively inexpensive and very easy to use. You literally just plug it in. You don't have to have any other adapters. It's a USB mic, so it just plugs right directly in. Um, yeah, so that's that. Now you probably have a couple of questions about the technology for headphones. Any headphones work. The only ones that I don't suggest are the ones with a built-in microphone. The reason why I don't suggest those ones is that microphone is designed for speech and gaming and often is very, very low quality. And it's sometimes worse than if the student is just not wearing headphones or using a microphone at all. It gets very, very, very compressed, so they're not ideal for voice lessons. This is what the Blue Yeti microphone looks like. It's super, super valuable. The other thing is it has a whole bunch of different settings, so you can just reconfigure it. There's a gain button on it. There's a volume button, so you can plug your headphones directly into it. It's just the ease of use is really, really valuable. The next page that we're going to talk about is Wi-Fi best practices. So for your Wi-Fi, this is for both you and the student. You're going to want to be as close to the router as possible. If you can, you want to plug your computer directly into the Ethernet cable. What this does is it makes sure that the Wi-Fi going into your computer is as fast as possible. A lot of times you will be in the other room and your Wi-Fi speed has already gone down by 50%. Some of your students will try to do the lessons in the basement because they're a little bit nervous about being heard, and you have to be a little bit blunt because if the further someone is away from the router, the more likely there is to be lag and internet delay problems. To test your Wi-Fi speed, you can go to the website www.speedtest.net and you can run a speed test. If somebody's Wi-Fi is below 50, it's going to be a little bit on the very slow side for lessons. You'll still be able to do them. I really say anything below 30 is nearly impossible. You're just going to have a lot of issues. Another thing to consider is that you want to close all background windows when using broadband. So when you are running your session, if there's anybody else in the house who is using the internet, that's going to slow down your internet. If your computer has a window running in the background or email, or if you even have your phone going and your phone has apps, that's going to be taking away from how fast the internet is. When you're teaching, you really want to keep that in mind because my husband loves Star Trek and he loves to have Star Trek marathons on his days off. But if that coincides with while I'm teaching, suddenly I start having these little gaps, and we have as fast of internet as you can have in Canada. We have 1 gigabyte of speed of Wi-Fi, which is really, really, really fast. Most people have like about 200, and still sometimes it gets a little bit glitchy. So that's just to know. Now these are some best practices, and this is what I really learned over my 2 years of teaching everything online for my private studio. Number 1, go slower. It's very tempting to try and do things at your regular speed, but you can't. So slow it down a little bit, right? If you are going to do an agility exercise, demonstrate it. Don't play along. Just play a basic chord underneath the student. Which leads to number 2. You want to play very simple accompaniment. The absolute bare bones. Some people will try to accompany their students for the exercises. They'll try and play their 5-note scales, their 9-tone scales, or try and play a song. Don't do that. If you are going to be trying to accompany a student with a song, I wouldn't even suggest playing full chords, and I wouldn't play a bass line. I would maybe play root and fifth, something absolutely basic. The third thing to keep in mind is that there will be glitches, which we've seen over the course of the last 3 days. There will be little glitches that will come up. That's a part of doing lessons online. Someone's audio is going to cut out for 2 seconds, and just breathe through it, because it can suddenly feel very anxiety provoking when someone starts going and it gets all glitchy. Our stress level can just rise really, really, really fast. And so just stay zen. Remember that you're in control of the situation. And the worst thing that happens is you go Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, Google Hangouts, phone call. You have backups, and the students know what the backups are. Hey, if Zoom goes down, I'm going to call you on FaceTime. If FaceTime goes down, I'm going to call you on Skype. Because every once in a while, Zoom may be a little bit glitchy, and it might be better to do FaceTime that day. So it's good to have like a list, and I just sort of have a list in my brain of, okay, this student I can do Skype, and I don't do Zoom with that one, and do this one and do that. Number 4 is use backing tracks. So it's better for your students, like we saw in the workshop today with the younger kids, to have backing tracks when they're performing so that you're not accompanying them, and that they just click play and sing along with essentially a karaoke track. Those can be found on YouTube for free. they're going to want to play it with a separate device, because if they're playing it through the computer without the speakers on, sometimes, especially with Skype, the way that the audio is configured is it will just cut everything out and you will not hear anything. You will see the student's mouth moving, but you will not hear the music, you will not hear the singing. So if they can play it from a separate device like their phone or tablet, that's ideal. And I just like to repeat this, all accompaniment must be painfully simple. Just like super, super basic. Sorry, I must have hit the 80s, the 80s organ pad on my keys. So that concludes my discussion about teaching music lessons online. And like I said before, there's a video that I created that I will repost that goes over the best practices for teaching music lessons online. And I will post the step-by-step about how to configure your Zoom audio settings, because that's another video that I created. Now we're going to talk about something that's a little bit fun, which is a guide to social media management for singers and voice teachers. So I have a little bit of a unique or strange expertise in this. So before I did my degree in music, I did a degree in communications, and so I have I went a little bit too far. I have a unique experience with this. So I did a degree in communications, and I always wanted to study music, but my parents said, hey, you have to get a practical degree first. So I did that. So I just so happen to be very well versed in social media management. I do a little bit of social media and marketing management for independent, as like an independent contractor here and there. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But these are my best practices for how to have success marketing yourself online, and the information that you will need to share with your students. So the first thing you want to consider is understanding the various social media platforms, what to use and when to use it. So just a brief overview. You've got YouTube, your personal website and blog, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and various flavor of the moment social media sites like Snapchat, TikTok, and Tumblr. I'm going to go through each of those now. So the first thing we're going to talk about is YouTube. YouTube is, the idea behind YouTube is give it away for free. Everything that's happening on YouTube is a free advertisement for you. Here are some best practices for having success on YouTube. There's something called viral hacking. So when people start out, often what they do is they will think, okay, well, how do I create content? What do I create? How do I get people to follow you? You want to go on YouTube and see what's already successful and do that. For example, there is something called Voice Teacher Reacts videos. Go and Google that. You will find thousands of videos. These voice teachers get millions of views. And what's really valuable to this is you are having a few million people are watching a video that you create where you're just going, wow, isn't this amazing? And using some lingo that seems exciting to people who don't know anything about singing, that you now have a million people that you can say, hey, and if you're wanting to take voice lessons, check out my website. And you list your website. You list the ways that people can contact you. So it's all just a free advertisement for you. If you want your YouTube channel to be successful, you do have to post regularly though, because Google's algorithm, if you post regularly, they're more likely to promote your channel and to promote your new videos as they get posted. Whereas if you post once every couple of months, it's more likely to just go into what I call the YouTube graveyard, where it doesn't really get seen by anybody. Other thing to know about viral hacking before I move on from that is if something is trending, post a video about it. So when Tiger King was happening and everyone was obsessed with Tiger King, post a video of yourself reacting to the music of Tiger King. Whenever something big is going on, you want to make sure you jump on the trend. If you see another video is trending, do it. Now in a voice teacher world, you want to look at music videos that are successful. You want to look at things that other voice teachers and other singers are posting. So if you are a singer and you want your channel to be, you want to get a lot of subscribers, whatever the hottest song is right now, you want to do a cover of it as quickly as possible. And you want to put it up. Because what ends up happening is people who like that song are going to go on your page, they're going to likely see the video and subscribe to you, and then eventually when you have enough subscribers you can monetize your content and you can actually make a little bit of money. The next thing you want to consider is that you're creating engaging content. So you want to make sure you're asking people, hey, like this video, subscribe, and then you're going to say to people, hey, let me know in the channel, in the comments below what you would like me to do next. This is a way to get more people interested in your content. Also, what this does is when people like your content, subscribe, and go in the comments, this boosts you in Google's algorithm, because the more engagement that happens on your videos, the more likely your video is going to show up. One other thing that you want to consider if you are really at a loss for, I have no idea what to create a video about, go to YouTube and you have the search bar. Type in voice teacher and you're going to see, you know how Google gives you those suggestions about what to search for? Those are telling you the most searched things. So if your plan is, if you're a cover artist, so you could just type in like singer, cover, and then you're going to get a whole bunch of song suggestions that are the most looked up song. There you go. That tells you all of the content that you need to make because people are searching for that content. They're going to find you, they're going to subscribe, and they're going to watch your videos. And I practice what I preach, so I don't like to post on social media too much, but 2 weeks ago I was like, well, if I'm going to be presenting on this, I should at least be able to show that I can do it. So I created 4 Voice Teacher Reacts videos, and in 2 weeks I have received over 500,000 minutes of viewing. And so that is a lot of time that people have sat there and watched. And some of these videos have just completely blown up. Here are a few really important things you need to know. Avoid, do not engage with trolls, block them and delete them. A troll is somebody who comments horrible things under your video. Any single thing that you can imagine that is horrible, they will say it. Whether it's true or not, they are going to say it. You click on their profile, you go under the little flag button, you click block. That prevents them from commenting on your video again. They can come back and watch your video all they want, which actually benefits you still. But it's good to block them because studies have shown that the more that you let people troll your videos, the more your videos will get trolled, and the trolls will come back over and over and over and over again because it's just cyberbullying. That's what it is. You also want to delete the comments because if there are a lot of trolly comments under your post, it attracts more trolly comments. So if you're trying to control that, delete the comments. The other thing that you want to do is do not post any actual criticism regardless of the merit. So if you decide to do a Voice Teacher Reacts videos, do not discuss auto-tune. Do not criticize the singer in any way. And you might be thinking, well, then ethically, what foot do I have to stand on? The people who are looking for these videos are the fans of those artists. If you criticize them, and you have to remember that these people do not have the expertise that we have. So all you can really do is watch the video and go, wow, isn't this amazing? Oh, I'm so blown away. You have to have a little bit of this fake persona, and I know this is horrible, but this is the reality. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you are going to attract trolls because you are going to have these fans. So I haven't done a Taylor Swift video, but Taylor Swift is sort of, everybody knows Taylor Swift has quite a few pitch issues when she's singing live. And if I were to watch a video and say, oh, this is really pitchy, a lot of people who don't have the musical ears for that are then going to criticize you. And then they are going to give your video a thumbs down, and they're going to write trolly comments. In the algorithm of YouTube, that is then going to make your channel less searchable. So you just want to make sure that your content is always very positive, regardless of what your channel is about. The next thing you want to consider is that if you have any plans of getting rich off of YouTube fame, it's really not a good idea. Really treat YouTube as an ad for you. It is free advertising. Your personal website, this is what you want to keep in mind. Keep it really short. Have a bio, have studio policies and FAQs so that it's very, very, very clear about what people can expect from a lesson. Have a contact and a registry. If those can be all in one, even better. So I know that Leischen and Amanda are going to talk about automated registering in a little bit for websites. But if you can have that all linked up in one, do it, because then people just click, they sign up for a lesson, they pay right then and there, and it's all done. Optional things that you might want to consider are having a blog, and then records or videos. And so I have little stars next to the recordings and videos for your website, because if you have those on your website, you have to keep in mind about what kinds of students you're attracting. If you have a lot of recordings of you singing in just one style or singing in multiple styles, you have to keep in mind that if you're wanting to attract a diverse client base, if your students hear you singing a classical song and that's the first recording they click on, and they don't want to be an opera singer, you have to keep in mind that that might not necessarily impress them, and in fact might lead them to not wanting to take lessons to you. I don't have any recordings of my singing on my website, and the reason why is because if somebody clicked on rock first but wanted to do classical, or clicked on musical theater first but wanted to do rock, or clicked on one of my classical singing videos but really wants to do jazz, they might not take lessons with me. But whereas when they read what's actually on my website, it's valuable. However, one of the best ways to get students is to perform. I do perform regularly, and every time I perform, I generally have people say, hey, do you teach lessons? I heard you teach lessons. I want to take lessons with you. But it's sometimes better because the people going to your website, you don't know what their own personal biases are about art. So I keep it separate. That's just my best practice. The other thing that I wanted to talk about on, oh, sorry, I think I added it. Oh, I added it later. I'll talk about it later. It's about email mailing lists. So now we're going to talk about Facebook. I want to say this after I take a sip of water. Don't waste your time or money on Facebook. So Facebook's algorithm, Facebook wants you to pay for advertising space. YouTube wants you to create content, and then that's free advertising for you, whereas Facebook wants you to run ads. Unless you're already a very famous and established artist, your ads are going to be seen by people. They're going to think, that's interesting, but they're not necessarily going to engage with it because you don't have an existing, what we call a brand, right? So the best thing to do for your Facebook channel, yeah, you should have a business Facebook page and a private, like, your own Facebook page, but you have to keep in mind that this is for people who are already fans of you. I would cross-post your content. So when you post something on Instagram, make sure you share it to your Facebook page. When you post something on YouTube, share it on your Facebook page. It's actually better when you create YouTube videos to take that same video and upload it directly onto Facebook, because if you post a YouTube link on Facebook, you may have noticed this before, the first time you post a YouTube link promoting your channel, it's going to get a lot of likes. The more you keep posting, Facebook, suddenly that video, the last video you posted got 200 people on Facebook going, wow, amazing. 3 or 4 videos in, nobody's commenting under it. It's because Facebook's burying it in the algorithm because they want you to pay to promote your video. They don't want you to be promoting your video for free. Things that work really well on Facebook are shareable and emotional content. So if you're going to create something, make it very emotional and very dramatic. Images and videos, images versus videos. Images are a little bit more effective on Facebook. And so sometimes they're, again, I tested this out. Putting quotes with images can be helpful. I personally didn't find that super successful when I was doing some test runs with that, but that's what apparently the market research says, but that's not what I have personally found successful. And yeah, you want to have a business page and a personal page. Instagram. So Instagram is basically you're just going to go on there and you're going to post videos and images, and now there's something called Instagram TV, so you can post your YouTube videos also on Instagram TV. And so that way, if somebody wants to watch your videos on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, they can watch you on whatever platform works best for them. So viral hacking, again, if something is trending on Instagram, so a certain thing is happening, you may have seen what's trending right now is those beauty videos where they take their makeup brush and they go like this, and they go from being, pre-makeup to like totally done up. And so you just want to keep in mind that when there is a trend, if you can make a video that goes on the trend, it is more likely to get more views. Same thing with images. If everyone's doing a picture in front of the Hollywood sign, find a picture that you have in front of the Hollywood sign, use all the hashtags. If you don't know what a hashtag is, or you don't even know where to start with hashtags, it's very easy for you. You can go to the website best-hashtags.com. Type in what you're looking for hashtags for. So if you're looking for voice lessons, it will pump out a list of all of the hashtags that you want. You copy paste, you put that into your phone, and then you just repost it. You want to look online and see what the optimal posting times are for whatever your demographic is, because it might be better for you to be posting at 10 o'clock p.m. or 11 o'clock a.m. so you're hitting the most people that you can. So I already talked about cross-posting content, so you want to make sure you're posting on all of your social media platforms the same thing at the same time. Instagram is also a lot about lighting and lifestyle, and so where on your Facebook page and your YouTube page you're going to be posting content that is more videos and more like official releases, on Instagram you're going to be you actually are encouraged to be posting things like, hey, this is a picture of me with my dog, I'm going for a walk, and then bam, promote your business. This is me at the beach. This is me having ice cream. Bam, promote your business. So the idea is free, free, punch. Free, free, punch. Twitter. Now, Twitter is, unless you are super famous, it's sort of what I call, you can see what I wrote there. If you're not famous, just use it for cross-posting. Post your YouTube videos there, post your Instagram stuff there, post your blog there, but it's not actually very effective for marketing your business unless you're really famous. And the reason why is because you're screaming into a vacuum. Twitter is super oversaturated, and people just go on Twitter to follow celebrities. They aren't really that interested in everyday people. Even your friends on Twitter are not going to engage with you that much. It's more, they're more on there to scream into the vacuum. So complain about things, uh, post about what they care about. I like to tweet at the Real Housewives because that's what I use Twitter for. And then if you are famous, use it for cross posting and then small updates like going to the mall and daily uplifting jubilations. So what's really successful on Twitter is saying things like, oh, I hope everyone's having a great Saturday for whatever reason. People just go nuts for that kind of stuff. So if you are famous, say really positive, daily uplifting things. A good person to look at is Chrissy Teigen. She posts all kinds of uplifting and funny content all the time, and she's kind of the queen of Twitter. You also want to keep track of viral hacking. So if something is really successful, you want to do it. You want to get on it right away, and you want to make sure that you are ahead of the curve. And so look at what's trending on Twitter, make a tweet about it. It's more likely to get seen by people and retweeted. If you are posting a video of yourself singing, repost your video on Twitter, tag the original artist and say, did this cover of my favorite singer's song. Doesn't matter if they're actually your favorite, because that artist might watch the video, and if they retweet your video, might get you more followers. Moving on from Twitter, we're going to talk about Reddit. And a lot of people don't know what Reddit is. Reddit's very important because Reddit is where the tastemakers of the internet live and the worst trolls. So Reddit is essentially like a forum where people go and they post various content. There are categories called subreddits, and you want to find the subreddits that are unique to you. So there's a music subreddit, there's a singing subreddit, there's a jazz subreddit, and this is where you want to post content. But you have to be careful because Redditors do not like self-promotion and spam. So you have to be careful. Post your self-promotion as, oh, I just did this recording, would love your thoughts, because then people are going to click on it, right? Or, hey, I'm a voice teacher and I created this video. Let me know if this helps, or if you need advice about your singing, because people will comment needing advice for their singing. And lo and behold, it will get trending. I have gotten a lot of students from posting on Reddit, right? And engaging with your Reddit community, if somebody comments on your post, unless it's a troll comment again, respond. Respond with something positive. If someone says, oh, thank you so much for this video, you say, oh, I hope you really enjoy it, right? If you have a blog, post your blog on Reddit, right? On Reddit, a good way to get interaction is to ask directly for feedback. So if you post a video of your singing, ask for feedback, tell your students this, right? Because people, and just also ignore the feedback because like I said, Reddit is the worst trolls. Somebody on Reddit said that they knew I was a scam artist because of how my eyes looked in the video, and they knew that I was a drug addict because they are a private investigator and they have years of investigating people, and they can tell that I'm just a scam artist and a drug addict and I know nothing about singing, even though it's like, if you Google me, you're going to see that I have lots of information out there about my singing, but that's okay. And so people just write crazy stuff. Ignore it. Do not engage with the trolls. That's just going to make them troll even more. The next category we're going to talk about is email mailing lists. This is your best way to get direct content with your fans, customers, and you can directly market to them for free. So have something on your website that says, join our mailing list. Anytime you get somebody's email, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, because then when you are having a new CD release or you're launching a new course, you can email all of these people directly and say, hey, just wanted to touch base, let you know about these exciting things going on. This is actually the way that people are making the most money off of the internet, is these email mailing lists. So keep that in mind. Because we often think of email as not as important. These mailing lists are where the money is at. These are flavor of the moment social media, and I've included this image of the dinosaurs with the comet coming towards them, right? And so there's a lot of stuff that trends for a moment and then dies. Vine was that. So Vine was something where people would post 7-second videos of themselves. And Vine was very successful for a couple of years and then had a sharp decline and now no longer exists. Nexopia and MSN, which were very early forms of social media, MySpace, they're all pretty much extinct. And then forums. Forums don't really exist anymore. And the reason why is because with Reddit, you have all of the subreddits, so why would you go to a different website to have a forum when you can just go on a subreddit and have everything that you possibly want to discuss all centralized in one place? There are current flavor of the moment social media like TikTok, Snapchat, and Tumblr, which are possibly having successful moments right now, but are all on the decline. Tumblr has been on a slow decline because blogging there's a little bit less interest now that people are more interested in video blogging. And Snapchat and TikTok, while they're very popular with younger people, the conviviality, so the ability to use the technology over and over and over again, it gets replaced very, very quickly. Because as Instagram starts having the same capacities that Snapchat and TikTok offer, it's less likely that people are going to use multiple social media platforms to do the exact same thing. So if you want to be successful, you can have a TikTok, you can have a Snapchat, you can have a Tumblr, but unless you're really wanting to market to younger people, I wouldn't do them. If you are a professional artist, I would do them and I would post some little cover things there. My gut suspicion says that those are not going to be around in a couple of years, but that's just my gut suspicion. For right now, though, if you're an artist, do it. If you're a teacher, you can skip it. Here are some social media general rules. Organic is better, right? Go organic, don't waste your money, right? What I mean by that is do not pay for followers, do not pay for subscribers, do not pay to run ads to get views on your videos. It will show. If one of your videos has 200,000 views and the rest of them have 10, people will know you paid for views. If you have 1 million subscribers and no one knows who you are, those subscribers will eventually get expunged by YouTube because they will go through and they will find out that they are fake, and then you will lose all of your subscribers, and you might even get banned from whatever platform you're on, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They go through and they clean out. Viral hack, be shameless. Look at what's trending and create your own video. If you're wanting to make the Voice Teacher Reacts videos, look at the ones that are getting millions of views. Do those exact videos because that tells you that millions of people are looking to watch those exact videos. Post regularly, but don't spam. So Instagram, it's good to post once a day. Facebook, it's good to post once a week. If you post too much on certain platforms like Facebook, your algorithm in the search goes down, so people are less likely to see it. If you post on Facebook once every 2 weeks, when you post something, it's more likely to get seen by a lot of people. On YouTube, you want to post regularly, ideally no less than twice a week. Don't post anything negative. The internet loves to be negative. If you feed negative, you get more negative. Be really positive, be really uplifting. Keep your message positive and uplifting. Even if you have something negative to say, just exclude it. I know that's really hard because we want to offer criticism, we want to offer constructive feedback. Just focus on the positives and know that there's a comma and it's also garbage that you didn't include in that statement. Give it away for free. You give everything away for free on the internet in exchange for your return on investment, which is hopefully to get more students, to get more followers, to get more people buying your music, to get more people interested in what you're doing. If it takes you an hour to make content and you're giving away a video on how to sing higher, you're not going to get paid for all of the views of people watching that until you have a number of subscribers and you're getting paid for advertising fees on the video, which is not a lot of money. But you are possibly going to have a lot of people who watch that and go, this person knows what they're talking about. I want to take a voice lesson with them. Family-friendly content, so make sure you are not swearing or you will get put in the adult content of any of the social media platforms, which is not ideal because then you aren't going to be able to be marketed to pretty much anybody because once you click on the video, people have to accept that it's adult content. So make sure you're not swearing, make sure you're not saying anything inappropriate, make sure you're dressed appropriately because that's very important. Also, be authentic. Don't try to be somebody else. I know I just told you to be positive, so if you're naturally a negative person, don't be yourself, right? But be authentic because people see through that on the internet and they're going to call you out. They're going to say, they can just smell it, right? And then I've written down, set up a Patreon. Once you have a certain number of followers, Patreon is a way to get people to pay $1 a month to have exclusive access to you. It's sort of like a way for people to, it's like a separate type of social media where just your fans can have access to specific content. So they would just get videos of you singing, or maybe they would get singing advice, and it costs as low as $1 to $5, and there's tiers, but it's a way to start getting money once you have and accrue a following. And then I have here, unless you're already a public figure or have a large following, is what I put. And the reason why is because if you do have a large following, the running ads can be helpful to get more people interested in your work, because they'll go, oh, I've heard of Mariah Carey. I want to buy that CD. Or I've heard of Celine Dion. I want to, go to her tour. But if no one's heard of you and you're promoting your show, it's going to be a hard sell. It's going to be a hard sell. Branding generals. All right. In the comments, who is this? Do we know who this is? This is the most recognized brand in the entire world. This is Barbie. I'm going to say people know what they like and they like what they know. Everybody, so Coca-Cola, Apple, didn't matter. People can recognize a Barbie doll better than any other brand in the world, right? You give people what they want. So Mattel in 2015, they had heard enough about people saying, we want Barbie that's more body diverse. We want Barbie that's more inclusive in general. So they released a new line, and now all of the dolls are more body diverse, racially diverse, and they are making sure they are giving people what they want while still being true to Barbie. So give people what they want and be true to your brand. So I've written here, do not pivot unless that is intentional. So they pivoted because it was intentional. What you don't want to do is create a YouTube channel where you suddenly have 100,000 subscribers based on your voice teacher videos, and then you pivot and now you're posting a video of how to wrap Christmas presents. Have separate YouTube channels for that. Unless you were intentionally building up a following because you wanted to build up a following for your voice teacher channel, but really it was because you're going to start posting your singing videos, do that. Just know you might lose some followers initially, but you will gain them back eventually. Create multiple social media platforms and cross-promote. So what this means is if you are a singer, but you are also a mechanic, post your singing stuff and your mechanic stuff separately. Every once in a while, do a bit of cross-promotion. Say, hey, I'm also a mechanic, and you can check out that channel by clicking the link below. Again, be authentic. Don't do something that isn't authentically you, because people can smell that. And again, be positive and uplifting. The more you put out there that's negative, the worse. Now I'm going to talk about being careful, a case study. So when I was in my early 20s, I had a short-lived career as a model while I was doing my communications degree. This is a photo of me backstage at a high fashion show. And actually, right before I walked out there, they measured me and told me I was not actually 6 feet tall, but I was 5'11" and 3/4, and gave me this like death stare, but I was already there working, so who cares? But I share this with you because of what is out there on the internet and what you need to be aware of. So we're going to look at this through the lens of some of the horrible things that I've had to learn. Number one, do not post personal information anywhere. I used to have my phone number on my website. Do not post that. Have an email, because when people can get directly in contact with you by the phone, you're going to have all kinds of creepy people messaging you. This still happens to this day. I quit modeling in early 2010. To this day, I still have people messaging me from photos that they find online. Increase your data protection measures on your private Facebook. If you have a private Instagram or anything like that you're wanting separate of your business, make sure that people cannot get in there and that it's not viewable from the public. Get your money up front, so make sure that you've automated everything on your website for your lessons so that you're getting paid up front for things, that you're not waiting for checks to come in the mail, because there can be a lot of scamming. The more you put yourself out into the world, the more kind of lousy things you're going to get back. You're going to get a lot of amazing things, but you're also going to get a lot of lousy things. Awesome. The next thing is know that all of your accounts are linked. So if you have a Facebook page as a private person, and then you also have you have a blog where you offer very, very harsh political opinions, and then you also have a page for your porcelain doll collection, people can find that because it's going to get cross-promoted. When people start looking you up, their suggested pages are going to be these other pages, and they can put two and two together. So know that if you do have stuff that you don't want people finding, delete those other accounts. The other thing is Google yourself and erase your past. So most of the work that I was doing was runway shows, and I did a lot of underwear runway shows. If you Google hard enough, you can still find it. But there used to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of me on the internet in my underwear. And when I started teaching, I was very mortified about this because I knew that my students were going to Google me. I knew that people were going to be Googling my name looking for lessons, and I didn't want there to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of me in my underwear. So what I did was I messaged the designers that I could and said, hey, I noticed that there's these like really old archived photos. Is there any way that those can be taken down? And slowly but surely, it's a little bit harder and a little bit harder and a little bit harder to find these photos that at the time I was not super embarrassed of, but now out of context, I don't necessarily want the entire world seeing. The next thing you want to keep in mind is having a PR strategy and owning your past. If something goes wrong, you have to be able to talk about it. So if somebody says, hey, I found all of these videos of you walking around in your underwear, right? It's like, even though it's a runway show, somebody might say that. Or they might say, hey, I found all of these pictures of you on the internet that are borderline inappropriate. And I have to be able to say, yes, when I was in my early 20s, I did this modeling thing for a couple of years and I really hated it. And I learned all of these things about the world that I didn't like. And yeah, that's an experience that I had. And, we all make mistakes, right? But you have to be able to own your past because if it does come up, you want to be able to talk about it. So that's everything. I want to say thank you. Let me just close this. And we have like 3 minutes before the next presentation gets started. So if anybody has any like really, really, really quick questions. Yes, bringing Barbie into the discussion. Yes, I love Barbie. So if anybody has any questions, Johanna, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I had a question. So I started a YouTube channel for my singing years ago and have a
Mm-hmm.
really unrelated name. I don't have it under my name. I have it under
Mm-hmm.
an old email address. Can I go in? I don't want to re-upload everything under a new account with my name on it.
Yeah, you can change your name. If you just Google how to change name of YouTube account, it's very easy.
Okay, awesome.
Yep, no worries.
Okay.
Nicholas, I'm going to unmute you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good, I'm good.
Thank you for all the hard work you're doing. My question is in relation to Instagram, where you have your feed, but then you also have your stories. Do you have
Yeah,
any thoughts on how you should utilize those two?
yeah.
That would,
Post
yeah.
anything that you post on your feed, share it on your story with the GIF saying new post that's over top of it so that people go to your actual page and see the post.
Okay.
Your story should also be a little bit lighter and more fun. Like if you are walking your dog, post a thing walking your dog. This is a place to also show off your singing a little bit more because you can post little clips of there. Every singer on Instagram that you see who's screeching up to the highest notes possible, they are only posting 15-second clips because you can sound pretty perfect for 15-second increments. All of my students are like, why don't I
Totally.
sound this good? It's like, yeah, well, because they aren't singing a full song at that extreme. So post like something really amazing that's going to blow people's mind in your story and these little 15-second clips.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Elizabeth.
Hi. Do you have a recommendation for an email marketing service like MailChimp versus just sending out like emails from your business account?
Yeah, I would suggest MailChimp if you have under 2,000 because it's free. But just know that all of those things, Google and all of the email servers, most of it ends up in people's spam folder. So if you just have 100 people, you're better off to break that up into like sending 10 people at a time because it'll get more direct. But once you're into like the 40 or 50,000 on a mailing list, yeah, something like MailChimp is your best bet.
Awesome. Thank you.
No worries. And Zenobia?
Yes, so I wanted to ask you, you mentioned how to change the YouTube account. What about the handle? Can you change the at handle?
Yep, you can change that on Instagram. You can change that on YouTube. It's very, very easy.
Do you do the same thing to search it?
Yep, just search how to change my Twitter handle, how to change my Instagram handle. It's super
Okay.
easy.
Okay. And what was the timeline you gave? You said Instagram post no more than once a day.
Yeah, Instagram you want to post like once a day, once every other day. YouTube at least twice a week.
Okay.
Facebook, I wouldn't do more than once a week unless you're super famous because otherwise it's just going to drive your stuff lower.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, I'll do two more questions and then I'll quickly wrap up. Alyssa.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my question was about copyright.
Hmm.
So when you're posting like cover videos and clips of your
Yeah.
students playing or singing, all that stuff, how do we handle
Yes.
that?
So it's all set up in the algorithms of these sites. And so if you get a copyright claim, they will automatically take it down. For the voice teacher reacts videos, it's covered under fair use. You might have to put in a copyright argument against it because sometimes the person, the owner of the copyright might try and get it taken down, and you just have to argue it and just say no, this is fair use, and it will get put back up. But the if it's argued, like for example, one of the videos that I did, all of the advertising money is going to the original artist. It's not going to me, and there are ads running on it, but I'm getting, that video has 60,000 views of people watching me talk about being a voice teacher. So I can live with that. The same thing for
Okay.
covers on YouTube. There's an automatic algorithm, and you click a button saying this is my cover of a song, and then you will still get some of the money.
Okay, so you can do covers on YouTube even if
Yep,
they're
you can do
copyrighted.
covers. You used to not be able to, but now they take care of it all.
So I'm
It's
behind. What
great.
about on Instagram and Facebook? Is it similar?
Instagram and Facebook's the same thing. There's like an algorithm for the copyright, and you just have to yeah, it's the exact same thing. If they
Okay.
copyright claim it, it will automatically be taken down.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. And just last question, Jeanette.
Yes, I have had a bit of a career as a voiceover artist. So I have like a microphone and an Apollo interface in my
Yeah.
closet. I don't know whether to apply that. I haven't brought them out yet. I mean, the microphone would have to go, I use it through Pro Tools and all of that, and I
Yeah.
get an adapter. So I'm trying to decide, do I spend $100 on a Blue Yeti with my MacBook Pro, or do I try to utilize what
If you
I
have something really good like that, I would actually talk to Jeff Costello, and he's doing a presentation during level 3, and he is like the man for setting up all that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I have to go because I'm already a couple minutes over, and I know that Leisha and Amanda have an amazing presentation. I just want to let everybody know that if you are interested in any of this social media or marketing things, like I said, I do offer, like I do social media management for other people. As part of the Institute, if you want to do a lesson where I go through and I tell you what you need to do for your social media, you can book in one of those lesson slots. We'll do 30 minutes, the exact same thing for the Institute. So if you want that, you can send me an email. No pressure, but that's just like I figured was probably the best way because I know a lot of people do have questions about marketing and management. I'm very happy to do that. Anyways, much love. I'm going to pass it over to Amanda and Leishan. Amanda. I'm going to click the make host button. And then Amanda, you will make Leishan a host as well. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
So I can mute myself.
Amanda,
Let me, yes,
be a host. Make me a host.
I'm trying to find you. Hold on. There you are. Make you a host. Yes. There you are.
I am now a host.
You are the host.
Well, I'm going to share my screen. So
Okay.
I think you have to make me.
Hmm.
All right. I'm going to share computer sound.
I like your blouse.
Thank you. It's the one that's in like all the videos I've done.
Nice.
I was like, well, I like it, so I'm going to wear it anyway. All right. How I'm going to, I think that'll be fun. Hi, everybody. I am Leishan Moore and Amanda
Schmella.
Schmella will be talking about online scheduling software. I run a large voice studio of about 40 tuition students a week, and then another 30 to 35 drop-in students on top. So I got to the point where I could not manage the emails, I could not manage the scheduling, I could not manage the billing, and do my job and do continuing education. It was too much. So my solution was to delve into the world of online scheduling software and billing software so that my time could be better utilized in teaching students, making money, and education for myself. Because at the end of the day, I would still have, 10, 12 emails of people who needed lesson swaps, or they needed this, or they needed an invoice, or did they pay? Do I remember that they paid? So this was my solution for that. So I invoice once a month, it automatically pays, and they automatically handle all their scheduling, and I don't handle it, which is lovely. Shmela, do you want to say anything?
So I was trying to juggle at the time, I guess about 25 regular students a week and another 10 that's drop in on top of my college teaching, which is another 30 or so students. And was really resistant to all of this because I was afraid that I would lose control. And talking with Leischen, she said, you got to do it, you got to do it. So finally I bit the bullet, and it's great. I do the same thing. I have it auto invoice. There's a few of my adult students that they just pay week to week, and I'm cool with that. So I don't auto invoice them, but they're real reliable. 95% of my students, they get a bill at the beginning of the month for the whole month, and they pay that right up front. And it's great. And they can pay whatever way they want. They don't have to necessarily do it like auto billing through the site, so they can choose if they want to. But yeah, I have that. It does the scheduling for them. I don't have 8 million text messages back and forth. Is this time still open? No, I'm sorry, now it's taken. How about this time? At 2 in the morning, people sending me texts. So it's great. They'd handle it all themselves.
Yeah, I do automatic billing and credit cards on file.
I'm going to switch to that.
Love it.
I am going to switch to that.
I won't let you in unless you put a credit card on file, because they never. Yeah, so let's move on. Why won't it? What do I hit to make it go forward?
Should just be the arrow.
Got
there
it.
you go.
I got it. Okay. I think the biggest thing to ask yourself when you start to try and find online scheduling software is, what kind of studio do I run and what are my needs? There is not one software that's going to fit every studio type. I'm not going to tell you at the end which one to pick. I'm going to give you the pros and the cons. So the first question is, what's my studio model? Do I have regular lessons where I have 20 clients that don't change and they're stalwart and steady? That's one type. Do I sell packages? Do I mainly have drop-in clients? Am I doing a master class that I have 25 different students that are just cycling in and out? Or do I do group lessons? That's question number one. The next is, what type of studio? Am I a sole proprietor, or do I have a multi-teacher studio? Because that varies on what software you might want to use. Are my clients mainly families or professionals? With families, you may need multiple logins, and with professionals, they may want it as simple as possible. How many lessons am I teaching a week? The price often varies on how many lessons you're teaching a week. How do I want to accept payments? Pay to book. Pay to book means when they select the time, their credit card is run right away. That's pay to book. Pay after the lesson. Do I want paid monthly? Do I want to be paid yearly? And I do have a couple clients who pay yearly or by the semester. And then, how do I want them to book? Do I want them to do self-booking? Do I want them to be able to go off my website and find a link? Do I want them to have an app? What do I want them to have to register off of? It's the track. It's the middle. What are my options? And this is not an exhaustive list. There are more options than there are days in the year. So these are the 5 biggest. And if you want to go past that, you go right on ahead. My music staff is the big one right now. It's out of Canada. Acuity, which is it's a great program. That's a big one. Fonz, which is a new program, somewhere between my music staff and Acuity. Music Teachers Helper, which is the kind of the first one on the block. That was the original. And then Square Appointments is another one. How much do they cost? My music staff is $12.95 a month. It is probably the most budget friendly. Acuity is free to $50, and we'll talk about that. Fonz is $29.95 to $150.95. Now, that $150.95 is for a multi-teacher studio, so know that that might not be independent sole proprietor. Watch for that. Music Teachers Helper is $6 a month to $40.83 a month, and Square Appointments is free to $90.
Leishan,
Yeah.
we have a request to slow down just a little bit.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah. I'm so excited to talk to
I
you.
get the same way.
Just
Thanks.
breathe.
That's all right. I'll talk slower. Thanks, guys. Now I know what it feels like.
It's tough giving
It
to a lecture
is.
when you have no feedback. It's extremely, I'll even venture to say
Yeah.
it's a little disturbing.
I'm just gonna stare at Amanda and Jeff, and then I'll be like, I'm just having a conversation.
Yes.
I see Jeanette Darmont in my screen too, so
Yes,
just
I
know
do as
I
well.
can see you as well. Um, our favorites, Amanda and mine, is My Music
Yes.
Staff and Acuity.
And someone had asked that in the chat as well, if we'd share which ones we use. And we'll talk about
Yes.
that, and we'll talk about why, and why we
Yeah.
also are teetering as well.
Yeah, exactly. But the others, ooh, here is why I don't care for them. Music Teacher's Helper has no way to have drop-in guests or to pay per student. A student with 41 singers bumps you to the most expensive bracket. So if you have drop-ins, if your studio is made with a lot of drop-ins, you're going to get over 41 singers very, very quickly.
For anyone that doesn't know what we mean by drop-in, that's a student that doesn't have weekly lessons, but maybe they're in town, they travel a lot for gigs, and they're like, yeah, I think I need a voice lesson. Let me see who teaches in the area. Oh, this lady Leischen, she looks pretty cool. Let me get a lesson with her. And they just take one lesson. Or it can be someone that maybe you used to work with and once in a while, a couple times a year. So that would be considered a drop-in versus someone who is a more regular student that has a regularly scheduled time.
Excellent. Excellent, Amanda. I'm glad you're watching the questions.
Oh, no, that was just me.
That was just you?
That was just me, because that's a question that people have asked when I talk about drop-ins. They're like, what do you mean drop-in?
A drop-ins. All right. Next is Fonz. I do not care for Fonz because it does not have text message capabilities, which means your students will not get a text message reminder that they have a lesson. They may get an email reminder, but how many people read their emails anymore?
Especially students.
Especially students. They also only allow one email per household. This is problematic if you have students who are booking their own lessons, parents who are then paying for the lessons, or divorced households in which they need two sets of information, or a grandma who pays. That's problematic for me. So for $29.95 a month, that was not worth it. Square is free to $90, and it is the only platform that allows you to run a credit card traditionally and link to your scheduling software. So if you want to have a client in your studio and you want to tap to pay or dip to pay, that's the only one that's going to allow you to do that and be tied to the software. But I feel like it's still best as a point of sale software. And it does not include any financial software on the back end of it. Leischen, what's so great about Acuity? I'll tell you. It gives you the most options for scheduling. It started off as scheduling software, and it does it beautifully. I've been running my lessons, the somatic voice work lessons that people are booking. They're times through Acuity, and I send a little link, and people click a time, and they're signed up for a lesson time, which has been wonderful. You can do drop-in lessons, which is basically what we're doing here. You can do master classes, and you can take that link and you can put it on Facebook. You can put it on Instagram, and somebody can be like, oh, Jeanette Darmon, she's teaching a class. I want to take it. And they can click it right off your Facebook page, sign up for it, pay for it, and then at the end, it registers them as a student, which is very cool. This next section. You can schedule without creating a profile first. So somebody calls you and they say, hey, I want to try a lesson with you. You send them that link and then they create their profile. You're not doing the profile first, which
And they create it after they've already booked.
and already booked and already paid.
Which when we were discussing these, is a really good point, and we'll discuss that with some of the other with my music staff. But professional students want the least amount of steps possible. So
Yeah.
if they have to create an entire profile and have back and forth information for setting up the password and all of that, that's all time that they can be thinking, do I really want to schedule right now? Maybe I should wait. Money's kind of tight. Whereas if they book first, then you got them, and then you get all the rest of the information. So at the end of the day, you still get the information, but you're more likely to get someone who's on the fence and doesn't want that time to maybe change their mind.
Yeah, Amazon calls it the one click.
Mm-hmm.
The more clicks a client has to make, the more opportunities they have to change their mind. So Amazon's business went through the roof the minute they offered one-click ordering. And that's what we're trying to do as business people. Get them before they change their mind.
Especially if they're doing a book, pay to book.
Yeah.
Because not only have they one-clicked, but they've already now paid for it. So their chances of canceling or not showing on you are much less.
Yeah. No need to, we started that. Offers pay to book, deposits to book, and pay what you wish. All right. So there are times that you want to do something for the good of the world. It has a pay what you wish feature, which is really, really cool. You can create separate calendars for different locations. So let's say like Amanda, she has her private studio and she works at the college, and a college kid needs to switch times, but she doesn't want them to see when she's at home. She wants them to see when she's at school. She can have separate calendars and send them only the calendar for the location that they are at, which is amazing. I think that's like so cool.
And that's also nice from a scheduling point of view, so you're not in your head. Because that's with some of the other scheduling apps, that's not the case. So I personally have to go into my scheduling app and see, okay, cool, this is what I have free, and then talk to them. But then I have to reconcile that with my school calendar, and I'm constantly looking at the two things because they're not integrated.
Yes, exactly. You can offer subscriptions, packages, and coupons. So my personal studio runs off a tuition base package. They get 38 lessons a year and they pay X amount. So I have had to hotwire my music staff to make it do that. With Acuity, you don't do that at all. It's easy, it's set up, it allows you. Do people know the difference between subscriptions and packages? That might be a great question, in that a package is I'm going to pay for 5 lessons and I have X amount of time to use them. A subscription means I'm paying to be in your studio. I can have whatever you set it up to be. I can have 1 lesson a week and I just pay a flat rate for that. That's a subscription versus a package. In the programming of Acuity, you can allow spacing between, before, or after lessons. So let's say you've been on Zoom and you know you need 15 minutes between lessons to get up and move around and clear your brain. You can create that into the software, so it will automatically do it for you, which I think is really cool. It allows you to suppress a percentage of open spots so you look full. So if a client comes on and they log into my website and they see, oh, she is so, like, she has no lessons next week, there's just a ton of full slots, they think, oh, I can come back later and pick a time. There's plenty of open slots. You don't want that. You want them to think, oh my gosh, she only has a couple times left, I better pick one now. So it will hide open lesson slots based on the percentage that you want hidden, which is a great feature. Pros of Acuity Part 2. It has beautiful intake forms. So let's say you're registering a client for a new client trial. and you want to have them fill out that Genie's form about intake. You can program it in there. Before they pay to book, they have to fill out the intake form. So you get that intake form before they show up. So you know, oh, they are working on music theater, they are this age, whatever you want to know, which is really cool. It has seamless integration with a bajillion programs. The ones that are kind of the biggest is QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Constant Contact, and Facebook. So they seamlessly talk back and forth. And this is a big one. This is huge. It integrates and talks between iCalendar and Android calendars. Meaning if I put something on my iCalendar that says, Leischen, you have a dentist appointment, iCalendar will talk to Acuity and say, don't schedule her during her dentist appointment. So that you're not having to flip back and forth to figure out when you can have your dentist appointment, which I think is amazing. It seamlessly integrates with Stripe, PayPal, and Square. I personally use Stripe. I love Stripe. I love Stripe. If you have questions about payment platforms, talk to me. I love it. It does text message and email reminders for all your students. And I just learned this one this week. You have to upgrade to get it to automatically a time zone adjust, which is fine. If you're really using it, you really need to pay for an upgraded version anyway, because I just run the base version of Acuity. And so on my calendar, it's Pacific time because I'm on the West Coast, and I was trying to schedule the lesson with somebody on the East Coast, and I was like, it's Pacific time. I had to tell that a couple times. But if you are teaching a lot of people all across the world, upgrade your package, and then when they log in, they have to select what time zone they're in so that it will adjust it. So they are getting their lessons in their own time, and they're not having to convert in their head, and you're not having to convert in your head, and there's no confusion about what time to show up. Okay? It also integrates Zoom. I didn't put that on here. I just thought about that.
I think of most things. I got an email from Dropbox today saying, let us show you what the Dropbox app could do, because now we have Zoom integration features. I have no idea why I would use Zoom with Dropbox or how, but a lot of things are now starting to integrate.
You'd show documents. I think it's like share screen.
You could share screen with the Dropbox app.
Yeah,
right.
Or play music off the Dropbox or videos. That's why you'd want to do that.
I think in light of COVID-19 and now the fact that so many things are virtual, a lot of software that's for conferencing, scheduling, a variety of other things are all in adding, oh, look, we integrate with Zoom seamlessly because it's kind of necessary now given everything that's going on.
Yeah, excellent. It's good. Cons of Acuity. It does not include financial software, so you must purchase QuickBooks or another software program if you want to have all your finances tracked. So I just bought a house this year, and all my finances are on my music staff, and I was able to click a button, and my like payments and expenditures were run. I sent that off to my mortgage lender, and it took maybe 5 minutes. Now, so Acuity, you would have to buy QuickBooks, and then you could run that out of QuickBooks. It is not specifically designed for students and families. So if you want these multiple logins and the student to be able to schedule an appointment, but the mom to be able to come in and look and pay, it doesn't do that well. So this comes back to that question of what type of studio do you run and what is your clientele? It is built solely for scheduling and payments, and it has no other music teacher specific features. It works beautifully for it, but it doesn't have like a practice log or some of the other things that my music staff includes.
I have a question, Leischen.
Oh, okay.
Does Acuity integrate and speak with Google Calendar?
Yes, I believe it does. I think that was an Android calendar. I think I called it Android. Is that different than Google?
It depends.
I think it does. Because a
So
lot of
now, and
people
this
use
this
Google.
was another thing. I used to use a Google Calendar to keep track of my business. I use a Gmail email for my business, Long Island Voice Lessons. So I had a calendar that went with it. Since moving into using a platform, because they all talk to my calendar, I don't have a need to have that separate Google Calendar where I sit and schedule stuff.
Yep.
I can just the students schedule it, and I don't have to write down anything. It just bloop pops up onto my calendar. So you might also find that it lightens the load in that regard as well.
Yep, it absolutely does. Absolutely. Good question.
It wasn't
Okay.
mine. I was just reading from the chat.
Oh, do you ever find it funny that the questions that there are no people behind the questions? There's this random question.
Well, yeah.
Who?
You just have to read in the chat. There's a name.
I can't read in the chat.
Okay, it
The
was me.
slide.
It was me. Okay, Jennifer Seuss. I was the one who asked the question. No mysteries.
No,
No mysteries
no more
necessary.
questions, Jennifer.
All right. Well, all right. Very good. Amanda.
And yes, Leischen there is a free trial for Acuity. How many days is that trial?
I believe it's 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Where
So
you
that
can,
is, I believe, what
yes.
Leischen you're using right now, right? Your free trial?
No.
Oh.
No. I free trialed it like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, because, well, we'll talk about that at the end.
Well, yeah, we had that discussion too.
Yeah, we had that discussion. And I am right now running the free version of Acuity, which has limitations. But because I'm still using my music staff, I'm okay with the free limitations of Acuity right now.
So you're using a hybrid model.
I am using a hybrid model right now. That is correct. Yes.
So what is great about my music staff? I'm gonna need you to operate the slides though.
I'm on it.
So the pros of my music staff is it's only $12.95 a month. So in terms of your studio cost going up, it's really, really negligible. All in one software, it is at the most reasonable price point. So that it's got your, as Leischen said, mentioned before, you can keep track of all your finances in it. You can do scheduling. You can send notes to parents and all of these other things that we'll talk about. It's designed by music teachers for music teachers, any kind of music teacher. So it has music specific features within the software itself. It works best for steady clientele as usernames and passwords are given. So a student, I'll put their email in and I send them an email. They can create whatever their own password is. You can have multiple logins. So I have a family and the daughter's in 10th grade and the son is in elementary school, and they each have their own logins, and I can limit what they see so they don't see any of the billing stuff. But their mom and their dad have the login that allows them to pay the bill. And there's a feature for writing notes, which is I've found really, really useful now with the online lessons. Even if I didn't have a parent that came in every week, with my younger students, I'd walk them to the car, and if there was something I wanted to say, or at least just have a little bit of 30-second FaceTime with the parent. Oh, Johnny's doing great. It's written down in his homework what he should practice. Make sure he's practicing this week. And you had that FaceTime. I don't have that anymore with any of my parents. So the note feature allows me to take a note in the lesson that can be sent to both the student and the parent, just the student, just the parent. I can write separate notes for each. So it's been really a nice way to communicate, and it's gotten a lot of good feedback from the parents because it keeps them in the loop of what their students what their children are supposed to be practicing. It integrates well with Stripe and PayPal or nothing at all. And while it doesn't integrate with them when I log that someone has paid, I can put in as many options as I want. So I have students that pay me with Venmo. I have students that pay me with Zelle. I have students that still like to mail a check or bring cash. I have a couple students that drop cash off in my mailbox. I haven't seen them in months in person, but they text me, I just dropped off some cash. So if they want to pay a different way, I can still notate that in my own finance records. But Leischen uses Stripe with it. I use PayPal with it. So that's really easy and convenient. They can just pay right from the portal. There isn't an actual app, but the mobile site is so beautiful, it looks like an app. So I always have the mobile site open on one of the tabs. I use Chrome as my browser. I have an iPhone, but I like Chrome better. And it's just a permanent bookmark, and it looks just like an app. It works beautifully on mobile devices. My music staff allows you to send standard text message and email reminders. So I will always ask, which do you prefer? And I do have a few people who prefer email over text, but I can have it send both. I can have it send just one. It can be an email reminder about a lesson. It could be about a payment. It could be that they have a note in their inbox, something that I sent out to the whole studio. There's a feature. You can upgrade my music staff, so it's not $12.95. I don't know what the cost is, but you can upgrade it to have a multi-teacher studio. So if you have teachers that are teaching beneath you, each one of them can have logins, and students can log in and click the teacher that they're with. You can have automated invoices or not.
Amanda,
Yes?
I think it's $7 to add a second teacher, or right around there,
$7.
something like that.
Oh, not that bad. So still coming in considerably cheaper than a lot of the other scheduling programs, even with that multi-teacher add-on, which is nice.
And it will, for multi-teacher studios, it will calculate what you need to pay to your employees. It'll add all that up. So it will tell you, hey, employee B worked blah, 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 blah. You need to pay them $75,000. They're very
And
busy.
I would be a very happy employee B. Be like,
Yeah.
thank you for that
Yeah.
check. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Integrated expense tracker, which is great. So you can, I've just started using it for that. I've been using my music staff for about a year. And I have to say, I love that I can go through and say, how much did I make this month, and make my estimated tax payments accordingly, so I can see what I made, because I'm trying to be good about that so I don't get slammed at the end of the year. But you can also put in what your business expenses are. You can keep track of all of that, which is nice, because then you have that all in one spot. And I have been making a separate spreadsheet because I'm A-type and neurotic, and I have a whole Excel spreadsheet with all of my monthly spending and expenses. And it'll be so nice to not have to look in two separate places, but I could just then run a report. You can also assign a student as no charges for those being paid by a college. I have different prices for different students, like Leischen was saying, kind of coming up with her own way to put a payment in so she can do packages with some finagling. I have a price, or if you're paying for the month in advance, you pay this price. If you're just paying as a drop-in, you pay this price. And so each student, I can designate a different price. And the college students I have that are taking lessons through the summer, I have them in as no charge students. And I also will take a student that normally is billed, but the week of their birthday, they get a free lesson. So I'll go in for that one particular lesson and just write no charge. And it's really easy to do that. And it reminds me when their birthday is, so I don't have to remember, which is great. The cons of my music staff. It does work best for study clientele. It's not well suited for master classes. And I teach some group classes, so I have a studio class, and I've had some master classes that are for my studio, but I would really like to teach a master class that I could post on Facebook and have Jeanette Darmond, because I can also see you in my screen, or Jennifer Seuss, be like, oh, you can come and join this class. You can't do that with my music staff, and if they wanted to register through my music staff, I would have to create them a student profile and all of that nonsense. They couldn't just click and pay and then come and have a link. So that is a con if you do a lot of master classes that you are doing for non-studio members that you want to just make available to the community. Creating packages requires a workaround. Yeah, Leischen was telling me about how she finagles that, and that's definitely at least it's all work in one spot, but that's a lot of work.
It's a finagle. I'm not gonna lie. It works, but it's a finagle.
Yes. One of the things I didn't mean to mention in the pros, I don't know where it really belongs, but if a student doesn't show, but you want to give them a makeup lesson. So, maybe they didn't quite give you the notice, so you're not going to refund them the money, but you're like, all right, I'll give you a makeup lesson. When you do the attendance for your students, which is something that my music staff can do, and it's great because it'll send me a reminder, your attendance is overdue for this day. So you can say, oh, Laurel Murphy, she showed up. Yes, she paid. Great. Or Laurel Murphy, I'm going to use her payment. I'm going to use her makeup lesson that she was owed for this. We're just like calling out all y'all that we can see in this screen. So that's nice that you have that makeup lesson feature. And that's what Leischen essentially does to finagle.
Yeah.
iCalendar can read the My Music staff calendar, so I can pull it up on my iPhone and I can see all of it, but it doesn't communicate back. So I can't change something on my phone. I have to go into My Music staff either on my phone, like through the website or whatnot, to do it. So that is a little bit of that. That's where it makes it difficult with the college scheduling, because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. Standard text message and email notification must be manually selected in each profile, and the intake form is a bit clunky, so much so that I don't use it. I just still send them in a hard copy PDF, and then I attach it to their profile.
Yep, me too. All right. Okay. Oh.
Hey there, and welcome to the Acuity Scheduling family. We're so pumped that you've joined us. Hang tight, you're now on your way to easy breezy scheduling bliss. Tell Acuity what hours you are available to take appointments, and create group classes for multiple people to sign up into. Block off time on your calendar when you aren't available, cancel and reschedule appointments, because we all know things come up. Sync with other calendars like Google, iCloud, and Outlook, so you are never double booked. Integrate with third-party software like Zoom, QuickBooks, Google Analytics, and much more. Create gift certificates and membership subscriptions for clients to purchase. Pull detailed appointment and revenue reports, because we know those numbers matter. And enable time zone support, so no matter where in the world your clients are, appointments are being scheduled in the right time. Share your public scheduling page URL for clients to start booking appointments with you, or embed the scheduler on your own website for a seamless scheduling experience. Now your clients can self-schedule appointments from their own computer, phone, or tablet. Choose a service, a day and time, enter in contact information, and even pay for the appointment all in one convenient place. No works on phone calls needed, and no more missed appointments too. You and your clients will receive notification emails when new appointments are booked, and can get a text message reminder before the appointment begins. Look at that, right on time. So whatever your craft is, whether that's showing people how to bend in odd positions, snipping off dead ends, or giving folks a good pat down, Acuity's got your back. Use the walkthrough guide above and get started. This is the beginning.
We're going to call that's plenty.
Can you go back one slide? Someone wanted to see the last 2 bullet points. And then, so other questions. How do you deal with the calendar when you have choices of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60-minute lessons?
You can, you go if you
no,
want to
no.
talk.
So my music stuff's, it's great with the 30-minute lesson slots, because I'll have my openings in 30-minute slots. And then the student, if they want an hour, they just book 2. Having a little trouble with the 45-minute. I don't do a lot of 45-minute lessons, and the couple who do with them, they're weekly regular students, so I've just put it in, but I don't have any times available.
Yeah.
I generally don't advertise that I have 45 minutes. If someone asks for it, I'll do it, but I find 45-minute lessons to be problematic, doing things on like the 45 or the 15.
Yeah, and I only do 45-minute lessons. I will not teach a half an hour, and I will not teach an hour. So my open slots on my music stuff are solely 45-minute sessions, because I don't like to.
And I think with
slots.
Acuity, you instead rather than having individual slots, you're open from this time to this time.
Yep, you can create individual slots, or you can have open hours.
Which is easier for a student to then say, okay, I want to meet at 3:15 and I want to do 45 minutes, or I want to do 30 minutes. So Acuity is a little more flexible in that regard. For the type of studio that I have right now, but as I get more professional clients, I'm foreseeing that becoming an issue, because I've had inquiries about 45s and I have to go in and manually kind of take out a time and finagle it. So still much better than doing all of the scheduling on my own, for sure, but that is a little tricky. Paying Venmo or Zelle. I have students pay me through Venmo and Zelle, and when I click in, I don't know where we're at slide-wise. We're like done, right?
Well, yeah, we have a couple of my music staff, but we're already 10 minutes over, so I think we should probably answer some questions for five
Yeah,
minutes and
I'm
then
answering the questions out of the chat.
okay, so I'll move through the slides while you answer questions.
Okay. Yeah, Venmo and Zelle, they don't integrate with it, but I can notate that that's how they paid when I'm looking at, like, when I take the attendance, if they paid for that lesson, or if I go into the students for the invoicing and say, okay, I just received a check in the mail, and I'll, write in that they paid by check, they paid this much, and in the notes I'll say it was check number, blah, 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 and I can send an email receipt. And the same thing if they pay through Zelle or Venmo. So it's just my own way of keeping a record of how they paid. So if there's ever any kind of discrepancy, I also always send an email as a confirmation of what they paid. So there can't be a, oh, I paid it, oh, I didn't, because I always have that email sent automatically when I take a payment. Private school. I teach at a private school in Manhattan, and they do 40-minute lessons, and it works well. Yeah, whatever times you want. It's if you wanted to use my music staff, you have to create individual times that you're available. So you can create them to be whatever times you want, whether they're 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and if you want a built-in break, you can schedule 50-minute slots on the hour, and that would work too. And then that builds in that break. If you want a student to be able to choose, because you have a lot of students with varying times that they want, Acuity is better in that regard because you can just say, I'm available from noon until 6 p.m. And you can ask it, like Leischen said, to build you in a 10-minute break after every student or a 5-minute break. So if Leischen schedules a lesson from me from 12 until 12:45, the next available time would be 12:50 that someone could schedule, and Acuity will automatically do that.
Yep, Amanda, let's go over our final verdict, and maybe if there are any other questions. Office hours? When are your next office hours?
At 8:30.
Oh, perfect. My next office hours are on Saturday at 11 p.m. I'm doing one last late night happy hour at 8:30 right after this. Like right
Yep.
after this. Oh, perfect. So if you have questions, talk to Amanda. If Amanda doesn't know, she can send you to me and I'll answer them.
And for ease, if there are questions that are this specific, I can stick here for like another couple minutes.
Yeah, excellent. So the
Ladies.
final verdict.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, final verdict, Jeff.
Then I have a thought.
Oh, okay, great. My music staff does the most for the best price. It does a lot. Acuity is the most complete scheduler. So if you need specific scheduling needs, I would go with Acuity, hands down, no question.
Mm-hmm.
If you run a very tuition-based studio, you have regular clientele, you have a lot of families, you need to really work with separate logins, then my music staff is the better choice for you. All right, what's your thing? Jeff?
My thing. Are you calling on me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks. I did type in the chat that I use my music staff and also love it. Julia asked about, do you guys build in breaks to your schedule during the day? I learned, this is kind of a part follow-up to Billy's talk and the ladies' talk here. I learned very quickly going into fully online lessons for myself, I needed to build in way more breaks. I could teach choir all day at school and then have 3 or 4 lessons right in a row, boom, 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 right in my choir room at school. And in that environment, I want to knock those things out quickly so that I can get home at a reasonable hour. But I learned early on when we went to all Zoom that didn't work. There's always the tech, like to run half hour, and then to get that Zoom link out or to have everything ready all the time. I actually, because it's summer now, and of course we're not teaching school, and I don't have a huge studio, only about 25, I book on the hour. I just book a half hour on, half hour off, half hour on, half hour off, half hour on, half hour off. Works the best for me. So yes, I love building in breaks because I can right now. So I'm lucky. Thanks, ladies.
Even when I'm doing college, I like to do 2.5 hours, three tops, and then I'll take a half-hour break. And the way I have it now, I have 3 hours in the morning, and then I take a 2-hour break, and then I do another three in the evening. And that gives me time before it got disgustingly humid out. I'd go for a walk, I'd go for a run, I'd exercise, and that kind of like broke my day up and made it feel like two separate days rather than one long day of teaching. So I'd rather do that personally than every other. So it's whatever works for you. There's no right or
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I do a couple lessons in the morning and then I take a long break. And then I do 3 lessons and then I take a puppy break because I have a puppy who needs to run around. And then I do a couple more lessons in the early evening, and all the programs will allow you to do that. Somebody is asking me, how do you hybrid Acuity and My Music Staff? Because I use My Music Staff, but Acuity sounds really good too. How are you doing that? And you did spell my name wrong, but I like you anyway. That's in the chat. That's just to me. That was private, and I just made it public. So how I do it is I use My Music Staff for all my regular clientele. And then I will leave particular hours free for new clients, or if I'm doing like this where I have a couple days where I'm definitely not in my studio but I'm scheduling lessons in. And so I kind of work two separate calendars. There is no way to use the exact same time effectively, so you kind of have to block times out on My Music Staff and then put those times into Acuity and then send the link via Acuity. That's how I'm hybriding it. I have a feeling in a year I'll be on to Acuity and I will no longer be on My Music Staff. But I do love many, many things about My Music Staff, and I just wish it had a link and pay to book. And it doesn't. And I love the multiple logins. I love the multiple logins of My Music Staff with all my heart. But I want pay to book.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the family friendly, and that's where it brings back to those original questions on that first slide of you have to first say, what kind of a studio do you run? Right now, my studio, other than my college students, is mostly high school, middle school, regular students in their 20s who are like trying to gig. I have very few working professionals right now because of the area that I live in and whatnot. So it's a little clunkier with scheduling for them, but it's so much nicer for the majority of my studio that is families, where I get all of those extra features that are music specific. It's worth dealing with some of the annoyances of the cons of My Music Staff. So those beginning questions are really the important ones, because that's really what's going to determine. Neither one is better than the other. They're both different.
Yes, and someone's asking, what do you mean by wish it had a link? That means it gives you a website link that you copy paste and you put it. So somebody emails me and they're like, Leischen, I'd love a lesson with you. You copy paste this link, you put it in the email and say, yes, I'd love to have a lesson with you. Click the link. They click the link, they schedule.
I have to log off to go start my office hours, but I welcome you guys to come. I put the link in there, so if you have more questions on this, please jump over. And thank you, Leischen, to my partner in crime, for this
Thank you, Amanda.
lovely presentation.
Amanda Schmella.
Bye.
Bye.